Hey everyone, I'm Ton Vase and you are watching SA Crypto.
Welcome to the final SA Crypto market analysis with myself, James Preston.
And myself, Graeme Tennant.
Yes, you heard correctly. This is sadly our final edition of the SA Crypto market analysis. That's because we're incredibly excited to announce that from next week we'll be known as the Global Crypto Market Analysis. This has all been part of a brand new podcast series that we're launching on Monday, 18 May. It's called the Global Crypto Podcast with Luno, and the podcast aims to feature the biggest names in crypto. We have none other than Anthony Pompliano, better known as Pomp.
I did not know that.
I know that that's a bit of a difficult pronunciation for us South Africans. I mean, the Americans are going to say pomp, so tough one. We also have one of the world's most foremost macro economists, Raoul Pal, as well. The full list of interviews include, along with Pomp and Raoul, Ricardo Spagni, Meltem Demirors. She was, of course, featured in the US congressional hearings about Facebook Libra. Andreas Antonopoulos, Stacey Herbert, Arthur Hayes, Joe Lubin, and Charles Hoskinson. The first episode drops on Monday, 18 May, so make sure you're subscribed right here. And we're going to end this episode with a question that you, Graeme, actually asked Raoul. So we'll feature his answer in this episode at the end of the analysis. For now, though, Graeme, things are looking pretty bullish. You've been pretty active on our WhatsApp group as well. So take us through some of the trading setups that you've seen this week.
So what I wanted to chat about today, and like you said, I have been fairly active on the WhatsApp group recently with some of the trades that I've been putting on. And just wanted to recap some of the trades I've taken recently, which I think will help people just get a better idea of the trading strategies and investment strategies, and particularly the difference between both. So what does an investment strategy or investment entries look like compared to trading entries, and the different mindsets around those?
Nice.
So what I've got here is a daily chart of the Bitcoin dollar price at the moment. And so this is a picture of the longer term investment or hodling positions that I've taken recently. So yeah, it's really a broad look at the price action that we've had over the last couple of months. So firstly, if we start off at the left hand side of the chart, we had these blue lines showing you that flat bottomed descending triangle. That is your warning to say that this nice bull run that we got from the start of 2019 was running out of steam, and that was your signal to potentially downweight your holdings. So because I'm a hodler in many respects and I don't really sell my investment holdings, that's not for me a signal to sell. I'm just looking really at different points to accumulate more Bitcoin.
Okay.
So but definitely that's not an opportunity for me to accumulate. I spoke for a long period of time on our market analysis about this blue zone. So that's that top blue bar that I've got there in the light blue,
yeah.
And that I said was my accumulation zone. So when the price or if the price reached that level, I was keen to buy. So I did get 2 amounts filled, and that's designated by those 2 red dots.
Nice,
so
well played.
I'm very happy with those entries, and that was just below. Well, it was the top of that bar is at 6,800. Maybe I'll just shift that up a little bit, because that is the level that I spoke quite a bit about. So
yep.
We're able to get 2 amounts of long-term accumulation entries in there, and that all looked very fine and dandy until we hit the 10k area, which again I felt was a zone that we were going to battle to get through, and that did prove to be the case. We did pop over that barrier for a little while. We then got the head and shoulders pattern showed by those red lines there, and that was our signal to say, look, again, this market looks like it wants to turn and move bearish. What happened next was obviously in line with that sentiment, but we didn't expect that type of sell-off. At least I didn't. And we got really almost apocalyptic selling.
Yeah, it's huge, wasn't it?
Out of that structure.
It's unreal.
So again, I did have my buy orders waiting at that same blue zone at the 6,800 odd level and slightly below. So that's what I like to do. I like to phase my entries in, especially on investment period of time. So as it drops further, I purchased more. But once it had slipped through that blue zone and it was moving further down, then we had to look at further lower entries. So for me, again, as a Bitcoin bull, I'm quite happy in the shorter term to see the price go to lower levels, because again, for me, that's just an opportunity to buy a Bitcoin at a lower price. I had levels set between 4,300 and 4,000, which fortunately I got filled. We did drop slightly lower than 4,000, so we did see numbers starting with a 3. I didn't get anything filled at that point, but all in all, I'm pretty happy with how things have turned out, and we've had a really good recovery since that period, and it looks like we're going to start challenging that 10,000 level again.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been the story of the last couple of months. So that's really how I've looked to play this market from an investment perspective.
Right. So what about these trades this week? I mean, you are starting to eye out $10,000. Do you think we're going to hit it with this current trade? How confident are you?
Yeah. So let's jump into that. So this is the other thing I wanted to show, is just a recap of the shorter term trades that I've taken during this up leg. And the first thing to do is, when you are looking to enter shorter term trades, is to identify what type of trend we're in. So once we started to move strongly off those lows, that was then a signal to me that we've now moved into a bullish leg, and we can look at entering some short-term leveraged trades. So again, on a leverage basis, I'm not looking to pick the bottom. I want to trade with the trend. So once we have the trend reversal, then I can look at some shorter-term setups. So this was the first one here, and again, my favorite short-term pattern to trade is a symmetrical triangle. I got in an entry denoted by that green circle, and effectively my target was that blue line. We didn't quite get there, so I did sell once we had a bit of a dip. I traded this on Ethereum as well, and Ethereum worked out quite a bit better, and we did hit target there. So it wasn't a home run, but still made a decent profit on that trade.
Sure.
So fairly happy with number one. Then number two was an interesting one. So after that nice move, we had quite a bit of sideways action. I was biased bearish at that point in time, but once we got this strong 4-hour candle on what was that? That was the 23rd of April. That was my signal to say, look, this is potentially the start of the next leg up.
Okay.
Fortunately, I actually got filled on that wick. You can see that's the green dot there,
yep,
which is a fortunate entry. And then we moved quite nicely upwards. 8,000 was my target, which we got to. And Murphy's Law, as I took my profit, the market really decided
it went nuts,
get
didn't
on
it?
its bike.
Yeah, it did.
So, and that's part of the nature of trading, is that you're never going to pick the perfect bottom and the perfect top.
Sure.
Well, look, you might if you get really lucky. Here we got fortunate on the entry. I mean, that's pretty much a perfect entry for what I was looking for. But to expect a perfect top is generally wishful thinking. So again, a decent trade there. So happy with that one. So that was effectively 2 out of 2. And then the third one is the current setup that we've got now, which again was another symmetrical triangle. And if you did follow what we were chatting about in the WhatsApp group, once we did get that really explosive move upwards, I was starting to feel more bearish and unwilling to enter the market, especially once we saw those big green candles, because you do get a higher chance of a big sell-off. So that's definitely not where I'm looking to take my entries. We then got a consolidation of price, and that was then again the signal to say, okay, this market is now building up energy for the next move. It's still looking bullish. I'm happy to enter, even though perhaps 2 days before my bias was bearish. So I think as a trader, you have to stay malleable. You have to take your signals from the market about what information that you're getting, and as the information changes, you need to be willing to change your bias. So this is where we are now. So I got an entry within the triangle again in the green zone. I did get stopped out here on one occasion, so this was my second time around, my second entry.
Yeah, I remember that. It almost looked like the breakout was invalidated, but we got going again.
We did, and again I had to then shift my opinion quite quickly there, because I was bullish, got stopped out. I then did wait a period of time to see how the market was going to respond to that. It didn't result in further sell-off, which would have seen us move out of that triangle. Volatility continued to compress, which is an important element for me. So those were the signals to say, look, this pattern is still on. Yes, I got stopped out of the next one, but we're still on for an upside move. And fortunately, after entering the second time, we've now got a move to the upside. My target is around the 10k level. I'm willing to take profit before the 10k, just to bank in that profit potentially. But there is scope for some overperformance above the 10k as well. So yeah, we'll just have to play it by ear once we get there. But for now, we are sitting in a profitable position, still quite a bit of the way from the full target. But the way that things have gone the last couple weeks, 2 months or so, yeah, I'm fairly happy with the results so far.
Yeah, it's been a great run in the last few weeks, and it's going to be interesting to see where this goes, because how many times does Bitcoin break a psychological barrier like it did with $8,000 and it just keeps running? So one wonders if we break $10,000, if the FOMO of the retail market kicks in. Yeah,
100%. So Bitcoin always has the ability to surprise, and there are technical analysis that follow an RSI type of indicator, which shows when the market is overbought and oversold. For me, I think almost the whole of 2017 we sat in the extreme oversold situation, and the market just kept on flying. So that's just something to keep in mind with Bitcoin. And then it can stay oversold for extended periods of time as well. So personally, I don't find it terribly helpful. But that just speaks to the nature of Bitcoin and the fact that it can swing from one extreme to the next and stay extreme for extended periods of time.
All right. So, Graeme, as promised, we said we would bring the audience a question that you, Graeme, asked Raoul Pal. He's the former hedge fund manager. I think it was JP Morgan, where one of the big banks that he worked. He worked at a couple. He's got quite a decorated career. But now he's founded an economic media company called Real Vision. So you can check him out, realvision.com. Graeme, in a nutshell, what did you ask Raoul?
Sure. So what I was interested to ask Raoul, because he is from the investment world, from the institutional side primarily, is what does he think it's going to take for the institutional investor to see Bitcoin and crypto as a legitimate alternative investment? And we always say, well, you always hear in the crypto world, when institutional money, so that's a very common question. Yeah. But why not ask institutions when institutional money? So that's really what I wanted to get across to Raoul and hear his point of view on that topic.
Right. Well, let's take a listen to his answer.
Okay. So how I see this playing out is that I think almost everybody is aware of Bitcoin, right? So that's been a great thing. I think that several institutions are looking at what kind of allocation. They're starting to understand that it potentially plays a future for them. But right now it's too small a market to care. It's valued less than, a middle stock in the S&P. So it's not big enough yet to put institutional capital. But I think of it like it's like a short call, that the more the price goes up and the market cap goes up, the more they'll get sucked in. So I think it's a function of price more than anything. Now, and the more it goes up, the larger the market cap, the more people will take it seriously, and then over time the volatility will diminish as more players come into the market and there's more buying and selling and less hoarding. So I think that comes, but it takes time. But the option on the financial system part is also very interesting. And that's where family offices and others are being involved in this, is they have seen where the world is going and how much monetary printing and financial disorder, whether it's the dollar standard or whether it's the central bank's reliance on printing money, they realize that the outcomes are going to be bad. What does that mean? They don't know, but they know they're likely to lose purchasing power. So I think Bitcoin offers a tantalizing view of a different world. But even if you're not negative, but we go back to the millennials and their drive for a new world. Well, they don't trust the banking system because of 2008. It was very prevalent in their mindset. They also don't trust the existing system and how corrupt it is. And they also want to do things immediately. Why 3 days for a bloody payment from one bank to another? It's crazy. So their desire for ease, convenience, and a different digital world of which they're comfortable in means that they're going to push for this anyway. Also understand that these guys are the kids who grew up buying digital assets online, like swords in Minecraft or whatever, and they know that digital assets have a value like real assets. So they don't have that intellectual leap that the baby boomer has to go. It's like, what do you mean? How can you charge for something online that doesn't exist? Well, it does exist. It just exists digitally. So I think all of these forces come together all at the same time, which is why there's such an amazing tailwind behind what Bitcoin is. And then you've got, and again, you'll know it from South Africa, is currency restrictions and transfer payments and all of that other stuff. There's another whole need for this. So you have so many use cases all coming together at one point. And that's before we start talking about blockchain and Ethereum and all the other things that could happen with this. Just at the simple level, adoption will happen. And the more it goes up, the more it'll get adopted. It's as simple as that.
It's going to be available on Monday, 25 May. And in the interview, he gives his thoughts on the South African economy, also how he got his unique name as well. Of course, the Global Crypto Podcast is proudly brought to you by Luno, Africa's leading cryptocurrency wallet and exchange. They've also just launched their Litecoin wallet and trading as well. So check them out, luno.com. Graeme, we're going to leave it there for this edition. Our final SA Crypto market analysis. Our next analysis is going to be in the week of the Global Crypto Podcast launch. So that's about 2 weeks' time. And if you like, you guys can join us on our WhatsApp group where you can follow Graeme's analyses as well as a number of other experienced investors as well. Pop us an email on WhatsApp at sacrypto.co.za and we will email you back with a link to that WhatsApp group. That's a wrap of the SA Crypto market analysis for the final time in this version. From myself, James Preston,
and myself, Graeme Tennant.
To the moon, baby.
Cheers for now.
SA Crypto is not a registered financial advisory, and the information provided in this market analysis is for informational purposes only. Each audience member is responsible for their own financial decisions, and SA Crypto cannot be held responsible for any decisions made by those within its audience. SA Crypto strongly encourages all audience members to consult a professional and registered financial advisor before making any financial decisions.